Hello and welcome to the Just Interesting podcast, episode number 57. That's 57 episodes of at least an hour of the three of us talking wonderful, interesting facts into your lovely, lovely ears. Joining me, Robin, today are Martin and Alex. How are you, Martin?
Very well, thanks. You went a little bit Attenborough there, Robin, at the end.
Did I? Oh, okay.
It was wonderful. Wonderful.
Thank you. That's the most flattering thing anyone's ever said about me.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it.
How are you, Alex?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I think you might have overstated it, though. Like, over 57 hours of us injecting facts. I don't know. Not everything we say is interesting. We're just a little bit interesting.
Well, let's put that claim to the test and let the listeners decide. Today, we'll be talking about... We will actually be discussing quite a big, exciting topic, which is ongoing, because exciting things are happening over the Atlantic in America right now regarding UFOs. And a lot of news has been coming out in the last few weeks in the mainstream media, including a former president of the USA talking about it on a talk show. So we thought we would discuss some leaked and then confirmed UFO footage from the US military. We thought we'd talk about that and any developments that might be coming in the near future. But before we do that, we'll be discussing our favourite comments of the week. And before we do that, we'll be revealing things that we have learned. And at the end of today, as we always do, we'll be finishing with a quiz, what I have wrote. And I think Martin and Alex are competing for... I think Alex is in the lead for the trophy.
No, I'm competing for you, Robin. On your
okay, Martin.
Yeah, this is for you, Robin.
Martin and I are competing for second place, and I've written a quiz.
10 rugby questions. Thank you very much.
I might rewrite the quiz frantically now that I've realised that it's the second place thing.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare! I'm coming for that Orson Welles trophy, whether you like it or not. You need to pay the postage.
Well, what have we learned this week, gentlemen? Tell me.
Well, kind of fitting in with the theme of this week, talking about UFOs a little bit, I wanted to talk about a rocket, a particular rocket that was theorized, shall we say, by a man named Conrad Haas. Have you ever heard of this man?
No.
I think you mean Conrad H. Ass.
H. As, yeah, that's the one. Well, he wrote the Sibiu manuscript, which was first discovered in 1961. And this is a publication of 450 pages, which, among other things, includes details of a 3-stage rocket that includes liquid fuel and has manned flight.
Ooh.
How mad is that? So this was 500 years ago.
500 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. How mad is that?
He was ahead of his time, shall we say. Is it H-A-S-S-E?
H-A-A-S. Conrad Haas.
Oh, Haas.
Oh, Haas. Okay,
Conrad
nice.
Haas.
Yeah.
So this manuscript was written entirely in German, and it was a treatise on the construction of different types of weapons. And this is the first instance that a multi-stage rocket has been written onto paper. It's the first example of that written. And looking at the pictures, it's incredible. It's literally like a rocket. That someone I don't know how.
I mean, yeah,
do you know
it sounds
I mean?
ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous, but you're right. Yeah,
it's like if someone just drew a Boeing plane, but this is very similar to a regular rocket booster that we see SpaceX launching every other week. And I guess it kind of makes sense. They had fireworks at this time, and Conrad Haas, I think, worked for
NASA.
Conrad Haas. Sorry, he was either an Austrian or Transylvanian Saxon military engineer from the Kingdom of Hungary.
Okay.
And yeah, so I think he worked for them developing weaponry and came up with this.
I found what I think is the picture, Alex, and it looks like a mix between a conventional rocket and a sherbet dip.
Yes.
So, the rocket shape is there.
Yeah.
It
looks just
there's
like
multiple images.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, like you say, the rocket, I guess, has had that basic shape of a cylinder with a little conical end since the first fireworks, hasn't it? It's
true.
So it's kind of a reminder of how how primitive, in a way, our basic designs for space travel are. Yeah.
It's true, isn't it? And you see this not just with rockets, but you see this throughout history of like people putting out concepts of things that can't exist at that time.
Yeah.
Like Leonardo da Vinci's tanks, for example.
His helicopter and stuff like that.
And the helicopter, yeah. And this just seems like another example of that, unless aliens crashed to Earth and this was just a copy. Or a time traveler. Maybe Conrad Haas was John Titor.
There's a few avenues to go down there, isn't there? Yeah.
There is a few. There's no evidence for any of it.
Baseless,
but,
no, just wild speculation. But yeah, that's amazing. I'll have to find out more about him and his other inventions and whether any of them were as prescient as the rocket. Nice,
I mean, it does sound, unfortunately, like there's not a huge amount of information on him, sadly. But
even more mysterious. Ooh.
Exactly.
So, Martin, what did you learn this week?
Well, you guys, you don't mind sports, do you? But you're not sports enthusiasts.
How
is that right to say? Is that right to say?
I support soccer, the one where they kick the ball.
You like the one where they kick the ball. And Robin, you like watching rugby, don't you?
I do.
But you wouldn't say you're a sports nerd or enthusiast. It's not kind of life or death for you, is it?
Not at all. I always support the referee.
Well, very, very noble. Well, for these people in 1911, sport was quite literally life or death.
Oh.
And this is in America. This is in Wyoming in 1911 in particular.
Okay.
And there was a team of convicts at the Wyoming State Penitentiary, and the prison officer, the person who ran the prison, set up a baseball team from the convicts, called the Wyoming State Penitentiary All-Stars, and they played in the local leagues around Wyoming, and lots of people came out to see them, lots of big crowds. And the crazy thing about these people were there were a bunch of some of them were rapists, another one had murdered someone, and a few of them were on death row as well.
Okay.
And so the blokey who set up the team, ran the prison, he told the prisoners that if they win, their sentences could be reduced and there could be stays of execution. Oh and if they perform badly or lost, then their sentences could be extended. I mean, that's probably quite a good thing if you're going to be executed. But anyway, so literally their life and death revolved around this game.
How has that not been made into a film or something?
It's pretty crazy, right? Unsurprising.
That's horrible.
Really horrible.
Unsurprisingly, the team in the short time that they played in 1911, they won all of their games. They won 4 out of 4 games. They only played 4 matches before the whole thing was stopped because there was some issues regarding gambling on the games, and gambling was illegal at this time.
That was definitely the main issue. That's definitely the major problem.
That was the problem. That was the problem there. So these con men were literally playing for their lives, playing baseball, and they were very successful as a result of this.
I wonder what would happen to like the Premier League or something if teams were threatened with death if they didn't win. I think the games would get a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
absolutely horrific. But
there was the case of the the Colombian football player who got shot, didn't he? He went home after doing badly in was it the World Cup or a tournament or whatever,
right.
And he got killed in his home country. And there was speculation that it was a direct result of him performing badly for the team.
I mean, that's an old joke about the Soviet Union, isn't it? About all the athletes at the Olympics. If they're not steroided up, they also get executed when they get home.
Oh, right, yeah.
And
North Korea as well.
Yeah. So the captain of the team, a guy called Joseph Seng, he was convicted of murder and sentenced to death, and he was like their star player and also the captain. And so he was like star player, hit home runs like each game they played and was really, really good. But unfortunately, it didn't end up saving him, and he was executed 1 year later after this stopped. So it might have extended his life a little bit, but not that much. So yeah. crazy times. I might actually turn this one into a bit of a video. If you guys say a
please do.
film hasn't been made about it, I might
Yeah.
expand upon it a little bit more in a further one.
That sounds really interesting. Yeah.
That's just incredible. I'm can't really follow that up. But I'll try. I was learning this week about Thomas Austin, an Englishman who was born in 1815, I think, and settled in Australia. And he lived in what's now Victoria State. And he was a member of the Acclimatization Society, which is one of many societies around the world, particularly in the British Empire, I think, of people who believed that it was a good thing to bring animals to foreign countries so that they could adapt to the environments and prosper. And in 1859, he brought 24 rabbits to his estate near Melbourne for hunting. At the time, he wrote to his brother, I think, who shipped him the rabbits from England. He said, "The introduction of a few rabbits could do little harm and might provide a touch of home in addition to a spot of hunting." And as anyone knows, rabbits, there are no predators in Australia that eat rabbits. So the rabbits multiplied, as rabbits do, and prospered quite nicely. And so nicely, in fact, that by 1920, the population of rabbits in Australia peaked at 10 billion.
I'm sorry, hang on. Did you say that nothing in Australia would eat rabbits?
Yeah, because they're not native to Australia, so there was no predators that hunted rabbits.
Natural.
Yeah.
Weird.
So like coyotes or whatever, dingoes.
Yeah.
They just wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, not interested.
Like, what the
Didn't know
hell
how
is
to
that
catch
thing?
them. Yeah,
Do you reckon that's changed over the last while?
I don't. I would assume so. I'd hope.
And what's the population like now? What happened?
Well, I can't tell you the population right now, but it may come up. But they did have to take drastic measures to reduce the population in the 20th century, as I think many people will know, that the rabbits got so bad that they were eating pretty much all the vegetation and preventing any farming taking place, as well as unintentionally killing off native species that were starving to death as a result of the rabbits. So yeah, that's what I learned about Thomas Austin, commonly blamed for bringing rabbits to Australia.
He had great intentions, but just absolutely awful execution. So much damage caused.
Yeah.
That's
when they mention about reintroducing animals, there's always like, and then it's like, okay, we've got to be a little bit careful here. Austin.
Rabbits as well. Like, I mean, you couldn't have chosen
for hunting as well. And I didn't know rabbit hunting was a big thing amongst the poshos.
Rabbit hunting.
Yeah. Apparently. A brace of conies.
We go slightly more, I don't know, upmarket or. Yeah,
I think
of kind of like partridge shooting or pheasants or whatever, then big game kind of. Big game arseholes.
Start with the rabbits. Yeah. Thank you. Wonderful little stories. I'm going to have to look up more. And if both of you want to make videos about your people, I would love to watch those. So feel free to go ahead. But shall we address some of our comments of the week?
Oh, of course.
Let's.
Well, I've got a comment from Doom on our last podcast episode, which was about the sinister secrets of Denver International Airport. Is it a secret Illuminati base or is it something else? Doom says, "I care more about who wins the quiz more than any sporting event." That's just great,
That means a lot. That really means a lot to me, actually.
Yeah,
it's got a lot of the hallmarks of good sport, hasn't it? It's got competition, it's got skill, it's got rules. Slightly flexible.
It's got a story, a season-long story.
Yeah, season. It's got seasons.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's closer to like WWE or something than your traditional sporting events.
That's kind of fake, though.
Not fake like WWE.
No, but it's more
we don't say who's going to win.
Yeah. It's more of a story, though, isn't it?
You're going to give us a bad rep. Then people are going to think it's faked.
Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think this through. It's not faked, honestly.
And I will see you next week.
We need to get sponsored by like some sports brands now. Adidas.
We just turn up with headbands on.
Did either of you? This is kind of a bit different. It kind of relates to athletic
Yeah.
ability. But did
Okay.
you see there was a poll that YouGov put out where they asked men and women what animals they think they could fight? And about like there's like something mad, like 20% of men thought they could fight a chimpanzee.
Yeah.
It's like
You get ripped to shreds.
Yeah.
no one could fight a
They will pound
chimpanzee.
you to death.
I don't know what was more shocking. The 9% of people that thought they could hand to hand kill an elephant.
What? What are they going to do?
And what are you going to do? Or the I think it was 20% of people who thought that they couldn't beat a house cat.
Lived experience, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin, it might not have made the cut in the podcast, but we did just watch you completely
I have been
leave
scratched.
the cat to it
Yeah.
as he
I've
took
already
over
been
your
scratched by
jumper.
him today. Yeah.
Martin's cat is not going to get messed with.
You're living in that 20%, Martin.
My cat is what can only be described as fornicating with my jumper next to me. He's going mad. Honestly, he's going mad. I mean, you might be able to pick up on the microphone, but he is having a good time. Anyway, let's continue.
This is what we have to put up
Comments.
with.
Yes. Well, I had a comment from Crash M. This is relating to your Twitter handle, Robin, which I know you're looking for alternatives.
I am. So I'm still canvassing. Yeah.
He said, handle suggestion for Robin, just into Robin. Like just interesting, but just
inter Robin.
Into
Right,
Robin.
Yeah. Just into Robin is a bit weird.
Yeah, I was going to say it sounds a little bit like a proposition, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're welcome, but yeah, just into Robin. Oh, okay. That could work.
Into robbing.
Because you're Mart interesting, aren't you? And then you're just Alexing. So
You could always go just Robining.
just Robining. Yeah, it's an option. Please
It's
do
an
keep the
option.
suggestions coming in, and thank you for that one, Crash M, because that's one of the best ones so far. Yeah.
Not bad, not bad. There's potential there. There's potential. Well, I've actually got a Apple Podcast / iTunes review from Tig F. Tig F, is that like Tig Furlong? If this is the Irish prop who also plays for Leinster, then fantastic. But if it's not, thank you still so much for this lovely comment. And he writes, "This podcast is simply amazing. Once you start listening, you can't stop." Like Pringles. He didn't write that. I wrote that. The hosts are absolutely amazing. Oof, big praise
what?
indeed. The quiz keeps you on your toes, trying to beat the hosts to the answer to the intriguing questions. This podcast never fails to entertain. It's even more interesting than they give themselves credit for. 10 out of 10.
Oh, 10 out of 10.
Thank you very
So
much.
nice.
That was really
10 out of
nice.
10.
Thank you,
No, so
Ty.
thank you, Tig. That's very, very nice
That
of
was
you.
amazing.
That's lovely. I'm blown away
Yeah.
by that.
Yeah, really nice.
thank you.
Really nice. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah, thank you. And please do, anyone else listening to us on Apple Podcasts or another podcast platform with a review system, please do leave your reviews, whether it's just a rating or your detailed thoughts. We'd love to know. Good or bad. We take the bad feedback with the good. But that was outstanding.
Although
So thank you, Ty.
bad feedback won't actually help us. Good 5 stars. It's 5 stars. Otherwise,
Obviously, yeah, good feedback
just
will help us, but-
email us the feedback. don't be going around giving 1 stars.
All right. That was Martin's position.
That's my
I'm
take.
for a free, fair democracy, but, whatever.
No, autocracy right now.
I want to lean more towards Martin, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's nothing more autocratic than slamming down your point about making a democracy. No,
Or send your
no democracy.
send your negative feedback directly to us on Twitter or on our Twitch channel if you want. If you want to follow
Yes.
us on Twitch, we're just_interesting. You can come and yell at us live if you want.
Yeah, and follow us on Twitch to be alerted to soon, the instant that we go live on Twitch. I know recently you two you finished, in fact, your playthrough of A Way Out together. That was a good co-op
did.
experience. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
It was good.
That was,
it was good.
a really good one. Yeah, I won't spoil it, but there was a good
Yeah.
good ending to that one.
Yeah, if
there
you're going to
was.
watch one of the 3 episodes of that, the last one's a good one to watch.
So thank you for sharing all your thoughts, and please do get in touch with us on Twitter at JInterestingYT or individual Twitter handles, which are on screen right now if you're watching us on YouTube, or somewhere in the description, probably on your podcast platform of choice. I'm at AllTimeRobin, for those of you who want to know.
At Mart Interesting.
At Just Alexing.
Nicely done.
There we go.
Please do keep your comments and thoughts and reviews coming in. And with that all said and done, let's move on to today's main topic, which is are the US government about to confirm UFOs exist? Will they confirm it this very month? Well, I mean, it'll be May probably when this goes out. There is an exciting thing happening just around the corner, and that's why we wanted to talk about this, because in the build-up to that happening, a load of crazy stuff has been occurring in mass media, in the main headlines, concerning the US government's approach and attitude to UFOs. So I thought what we'd do is describe the kind of background to this, what's going on, and where we're heading up to, and then discuss some videos, some confirmed UFO videos, official, from the US government. I thought we'd look at them and get our thoughts on what we think of those videos, as well as discussing in general what we think the US government is about to say. So, the background. So on the 4th of August 2020, that's only 9 months ago, that's less time than it takes to make a baby, the Department of Defense established the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force. Now, you may be thinking, what does that mean? Well, unidentified aerial phenomena is the new name the US government is giving to what we used to call unidentified flying objects, UFOs. And this task force was created with a specific authority and intention and aim to gain insight into the nature and origins of UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena. Now, prior to that, in 2020, the Department of Defense in America declassified 3 videos that had been recorded by US Navy pilots from 2004 and 2015, I think, that had actually been leaked before, but up until that point, last year, had never been officially confirmed as actual US military footage of what were classified as UAPs, essentially UFOs. Then on Sunday, the 16th of May, 2021, just a couple of weeks ago, the program 60 Minutes interviewed 2 former US Navy pilots called Commander Dave Fravor and Lieutenant Commander Alex Dietrich about UFOs they sighted over the Pacific Ocean during a training exercise in 2004. Now, those 2 officers described it as looking like a tic-tac that bounced around like a ping-pong ball. And when one of them, Commander Fravor, approached it to get a better look at it, it began mimicking his movements and then simply disappeared.
I think that, the Tic Tac story is one of the most compelling from in recent memory.
Yeah.
And it's weird.
It is.
Anyone who saw that interview on 60 Minutes, it's quite compelling watching him describe it, because he's done it before. He's described this before. This isn't the first time he's told this story, but you can tell that he's not making this up, and it's not something that he's elaborated or made grander than it is. He literally cannot explain what he experienced on that day, and it's quite something to see a professionally trained US Navy pilot who encountered the UFO honestly say, "I saw a UFO." And
a UAP.
A UAP, sorry. Yes, a UAP. And for the record, Commander Fravor, I think, has said he believes it is not of terrestrial origin, which is quite important.
That's an interesting one. That does... It makes me think, well, if you don't think it's that, where do you think it comes from? Because obviously, not obviously, but it most likely doesn't come from the US, you'd imagine. You think, I imagine in his position he wouldn't necessarily know about secret testing going on, but would the US government or whatever secret organization that deals with, say it's a experimental aircraft, military aircraft, would they be flying it next to him or in his remit? No, they wouldn't, would they? They'd be testing it away from humans. Yeah. Not only in case anything went wrong, but to kind of quash this kind of this kind of, well, he's in the position now where he's saying, coming on live TV on a very, very popular program, saying this is what I saw, and it's opening up the door to people like us to discuss.
Yeah,
a tic-tac.
A tic-tac-like object.
Tic-tac.
Yeah. I'm guessing in shape rather than size. That's what I'm saying.
I have no idea what it was. Maybe it was a tic-tac.
It was literally a tic-tac, just on the
then it just disappeared.
So this interview was given on 60 Minutes on the 16th of May. And 2 days after that, President Barack Obama was on the Late Late Show with Britain's best export, James Corden, and said,
Ugh.
And I'm quoting Barack Obama here. He said, "There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern." And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is. And then prior to both of these TV programs, on the 14th of May, another video was leaked of a UFO off the coast, a UAP, off the coast of San Diego, which on the 19th of May, 5 days after it was leaked, the Pentagon confirmed was real and recorded by a Navy ship, I think in January 2019. So very recently, in fact.
That is pretty a pretty mad statement for Obama to give, actually. It's weird. I've never heard him say anything about this kind of topic.
Yeah, for any former president to say anything like this is surprising, but particularly him, as such a recent president.
I'm not making any kind of political comparisons or not intending to.
Yeah.
But had Trump said this, I don't think it wouldn't have the same level of gravitas, maybe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, he said something else.
Well, we've come to this several times, haven't we? That if anyone was going to confirm that the US had spacecraft crashed at Roswell, it was going to be Trump, the president, the Twitter president, the one who was very happy to divulge state secrets to anybody who would listen.
Would they have told him? That's the question.
Well, yeah, that's the
risk
question.
telling him. Yeah.
So it might be. So I think it is worth taking seriously the fact that Obama has said this,
and also that Trump didn't. So, as in,
yeah, that's true.
As a counterpoint, would he have been able to keep this a secret?
So we now have 4 videos, essentially, that have been officially confirmed by the Pentagon, by the Department of Defense, as being of what the government considers to be unidentified aerial phenomena, aka UFOs. And I thought it might be fun to look at these, describe what we are seeing to our listeners. For those of you who are watching us on YouTube, we'll put it up on screen, and just share our thoughts. So let's put the first video up.
This is the classic maneuvering one, isn't it? That Bob Lazar points to as evidence of what he was talking about. The way that these UFOs move, in the sky, they can rotate in the air. I think this is the one. And
so it looks like there's kind of almost some kind of antennas at the top of the first image, doesn't there?
Do you mean in the white on black?
Yes.
Yeah, because then it converts to black on white. Yeah. Some kind of infrared, I guess, or something like that. It's odd how indistinct the shape is. Also, I think people have made this joke before, but even in 2004, I'm shocked at how grainy and low resolution this image is. Here's a $1 billion jet plane with a 240p camera.
I mean,
in fairness, I imagine that these are zoomed in to the max, and they're tracking this object moving at a very high speed.
That is true.
Miles away.
That's true. That's a good point. This is from a jet plane moving possibly faster than the speed of sound. We don't know what Mach speed they were traveling at, tracking this object that is keeping pace and clearly keeping ahead of them.
Oh yeah, because the second, when it goes back to white on black, the UFO looks a little bit of a different shape to the first one. To me, it does anyway.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean.
In the first one, it looks like it could even be like a helix shape.
Yeah.
And then the last one definitely looks more kind of traditional UFO cylinder.
Yeah. I mean, the shape.
It's not a cylinder, what's the
disc?
Like a disc, yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the very end of the video, it just zooms off, doesn't it? It just shoots off screen faster than the camera can track it, which is
that's crazy.
Yeah, scary, like a 90-degree turn in midair. I mean, what I find interesting about that is, like you just say, Martin, the shape. It's the instinct is to look at it and go, oh my goodness, it's a classic flying saucer shape. That's what it looks like for most of the video. But then when you compare the different filters that the camera's been put on, it does look like there are things, maybe they're fins, antenna, like you suggested, something more to it than just a smooth disc shape, which is the classic UFO image, which then makes me wonder if there's some credence then to early UFO sightings, because people say, oh, I saw a saucer in the sky. But if you're going back to the 1950s and people are looking at it from a distance, or people are looking at it through a camera lens, but, a 1950s camera. Not saying that 1950s camera technology was bad, but the ordinary Joe is not going to have a massive zoom lens. They're going to have a shallow depth of field camera lens. If they're looking at it through that, then they might be more inclined to see a kind of nebulous glob disc shape, like we're seeing here on this video, than any fine detail, which even technology of 2004 mounted on a fighter jet following it from a fairly close distance was unable to pick up.
Exactly.
True.
Good point.
Yeah. So my point being that maybe those UFO sightings from Project Blue Book, when the CIA was also the Army, the Air Force was officially investigating UFO sightings, those UFO sightings could be more genuine than we give them credence. It's just that what people saw wasn't what was actually there, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah, from a distance.
Yeah.
As you say, it does look like a more of a globular shape.
Yeah.
Disc shape. Yeah, you don't get the same outline, the same what's the word? What's profile? That's the word.
Profile. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same profile of whatever it is.
So we're now going to move forward to 2015.
Bit better.
Still black and white.
Yeah.
But Alex, do you want to describe what we're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing what I like about this one is you kind of get a sense of the movement, because you can see the cloud coverage just underneath, and it's clear that it's moving quickly, and it shows like a very stable aircraft, or it's a very stable UAP moving across the sky, and it similar to the other one, it does seem to have something poking out the bottom. It seems quite disc shaped. And this is actually the one that I was referring to before with Bob Lazar, I think.
Right.
Where it halfway through the video, or towards the end of the video, it very noticeably rotates in a very deliberate way. It looks like it doesn't look like it's just moving with the wind. It like rotates a little bit, stops, rotates more, stops.
But on its axis in
this
like a
almost goes vertical, doesn't it?
Yeah. Of all the UFO sightings, I think this is actually the best footage I've ever seen.
Yeah. It looks like a bit like a spinning top, doesn't it?
Yeah, a dreidel.
A little bit at the top, a little bit at the bottom. Yeah.
But as you say, it's clearly flying. Yeah, like imagine a spinning top. For those of you listening, imagine a spinning top like the end of Inception. That's what it looks like. And then at the end of the video, it's suddenly imagine it's still on it spinning, but it's suddenly on its side. In midair. Upwards. Yeah, a bit like a Harrier jet engines, the way when it comes to land and hover, they rotate. It's done that. It's weird. And that means it's clearly a machine. It's something mechanical being controlled and piloted by somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like Bob Lazar said in the 90s that he worked at Area 51 and in great detail described these ships that he was working on and how they would rotate in the air and like to match a certain something or other. But he very in a great amount of detail described this exact movement. And then to see this come out in 2015 was a bit of a vindication for him, I think. Either he got incredibly lucky with this footage or perhaps he was telling the truth. I don't know.
So are you saying that you now believe Bob Lazar completely?
No, not at all. I'm not saying that I necessarily believe him, but I think that that's definitely added a lot of weight to what he said, given that he said that in the 90s and this came out in 2015. I mean, that's all, we still don't know really, do we?
Yeah, it's clearly too high for something like a drone, isn't it? So it has to be some kind of, if not manned aircraft, then some kind of technology that's able to fly above cloud level, which is pretty intriguing. Yeah. And a really quick speed. I guess the only question is Bob Lazar, of course, thought this was definitely extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
Whereas, could this be some kind of secret military project?
Well, I think that's probably the important thing to note. The context of what the government in America is doing right now is that I think clearly the Pentagon and the Department of Defense are concerned that the increase in UAPs is related to enemy nations posing a threat to the security of the United States.
Yeah.
And that's why this has become an official concern now that has led to, as we started by mentioning, a report that is going to be delivered to the Senate on June the 1st by this Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, which is, I think, a body that comprises is a combination of the FBI, the Office of Naval Intelligence, and scientists working privately, I think. So it's actually quite a lot of different people working together on this task force to declassify information. The question is, how much information will they declassify and deliver to the Senate? Because if it's in the Senate, there's going to be C-SPAN. The public is going to be able to see this.
That will be. I'm sure that they won't want to declassify anything that causes any kind of mass panic. If it were to be, I imagine that they're going to almost reflect what Obama said.
Yeah.
That these are aircraft that we do not know much about. We don't know if they pose. We do not know if they pose a threat to us, and they're unidentified. I imagine that'll be the extent to where it goes. I mean, of course, I hope for more. The other interesting thing is, if this is another nation state, as they seem to think, statistically, do you think that something like this would be leaked from the said nation state? That if they had this military aircraft and the US came up with this footage and released it to the public, that something just out of statistically something would get out that, okay, this is a Chinese military test, or this is Russia, as the two states that supposedly pose a threat to the US.
That's interesting. That's a good point. Yeah,
that is a good question. I think if they wanted something to be released, either of those countries, then, like, if they wanted us to know that they had these military aircrafts or reconnaissance, some advanced vehicle, then it would be intentional. I don't think it would get leaked because, I don't know, does either the Russian or Chinese government tend to leak that kind of information? Or do leaks happen? Really, they seem to keep things under lock and key a lot.
Yeah, we don't hear about them much, do we? Yeah.
No, you're right that they are secretive, but yeah, I'm just thinking that risk. They seem to be doing this in US naval space, over US waters, as some of these are, with the Navy capturing a lot of these. You think that if they were just trying to test this out, then they would do it over their own airspace.
But maybe they're not testing it out. Maybe the reason why they're near US military is because they are using them in a reconnaissance capacity. These are like fully made and manufactured and in service.
Good point.
And meant to be a secret.
So do you think they're going to confirm it, given there's this imminent date of June the 1st for this report to the Senate? Do you think, A, the US government would publicly state, we know this is Russia, for example, and this is the new spy plane they've got? A, do you think the US government would do that? And B, do you think Russia would anticipate that move and confirm it before America would announce it, to kind of steal their thunder, so to speak, to, make it look like Russia is still in control?
That's a good point.
That would then beg the question: would the US, if they didn't want Russia to, it's admitting that someone else has something on you if you don't know anything about it. If your intelligence doesn't tell you that a foreign power who's seen as a threat, and you're spending trillions on defense, sure, you can't come out and say, oh, we didn't know about this for 15 years. We didn't know about this aircraft from 2004. Our technology is that far behind that we did not know about this state power and their reconnaissance for all of these years. I think it'd be more like, also then it opens up the question of, okay, well, if the Russians are doing this or the Chinese are doing this over American waters or American airspace, what are the Americans doing back?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Then it always opens up a bit of a can of worms there. So I think that they want to keep this under wraps as much as possible.
Right. And
so they will continue to give enough information to admit that this is something that they don't know about, but they're not going to go into specifics of who it is or what it is. I think they're going to come out and say, as I say, they're going to reflect Obama's sentiment of we're not quite sure what this is. We think it's probably military, and that'll be it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to get into an accusation game either.
That's a good point. Yeah, tit for tat kind of escalation of we know about this, and then we know about this, and then all the state secrets get blown up.
Exactly. Yeah.
Leading to the.
I think at the most maybe Russia would if they might hint that it belongs to them, and try and like maintain some kind of geopolitical soft power, but actually it has nothing to do with them. They're just like, we know what it is. If the US says like, we think it's military, we don't know what it is, the Russia might come out and be like, well, we know. We know for sure. We're just not telling you. Well, I think that could happen.
Let's move on to our third video, which is again from 2015, but a different angle. And this is from a jet plane looking down, I think, to the ocean surface. So you can see in a similar way to the previous video showing clouds as a useful reference for the speed and movement of the object that's being followed. In this case, we've got the waves. We can see the waves and therefore get a really good impression of how fast this thing is traveling.
It's going at some lick,
it's going really fast.
I mean, of course, the other ones are in the air. It's going to look slow, most likely.
I think it's like a small white dot against the grey waves, because this again is black and white. But although the camera is tracking it very well, the software has clearly picked it up. You can see the kind of the autofocus box.
It takes a bit of time, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's moving so fast, and it takes the software some time to capture it, to trace it. And to me, again, just looks like a tiny little white globule, but it must be particularly small, because these are sea waves, which are big, but unless they are ginormous waves, to me that looks pretty small.
Yeah, I mean, this one, out of all of them, this one is the most likely. To me, it looks most like it could be a drone, just because of the height it's going and above the water. But it's going at such a pace.
Yeah,
so
quick, so fast, a pace, isn't it?
Yeah,
but also, like, who would be controlling this drone? And I mean, if it's over like open ocean, what's the kind of range on it as well? If it's this small,
you also got to go for motive as well. Why would they be flying a drone over an ocean?
What I find, for some reason, what makes it compelling for me is their reaction when they are finally able to track onto it. They seem so like excited, like they've made a sniper shot from 100 miles away.
Yeah, we haven't been describing. There is audio for these videos as well of the pilots communicating with each other. Yeah, that's what Alex is describing.
Laughing and joking. It's like you've just discovered a UFO that could reshape our understanding of the world, and their initial reaction is, "Hey,
got it!
Yes, got him!
USA."
Yeah.
So we have one more video, which I don't know, Martin, if you'd like to describe it. And this is the latest leak from this month. The month of May.
Yeah, so this one shows what looks a little bit like a black ball, doesn't it? It's very circular. It seems less of the kind of the disc shape and more of a circle. And it's flying across the San Diego skyline by the water, and then seems to divert into the sea itself and disappear. Which actually reminds me a little bit of the Shag Harbor incident. Do you remember that one where the aircraft, the supposed alien aircraft, dive bombed into the water in Canada, and lights could be seen glowing from the water. So I don't know if anyone saw it after it had disappeared. It seems like they didn't, but it just immediately made me think of that one.
Yeah,
but as I say, like a round ball, almost like if someone got a 2B pencil and pushed it into the paper. It's like a perfect circle, isn't it?
It is. I thought like clay pigeons when I first saw it, the way it just kind of gliding through the air. But then the interesting thing is that in the video it looks like it goes underwater, and then the audio confirms the people speaking saying it splashed down, it hit the water, and the Navy, the crew of the ship, the Navy ship that recorded this footage, it clearly tried to find out where it landed, and that goes to a theory, I think something I never really thought about until I saw James Cameron's The Abyss back in I didn't see it in 1989, it came out in 1989, and then the idea that some theorists have that aliens might already be on Earth under the ocean, which, as we know, remains largely unexplored. And the fact that we keep seeing all these things, all these UAPs are being recorded by the US Navy, fighter jets and ships doing maneuvers and training exercises in the Pacific or Atlantic Oceans. Particularly the Pacific, actually. They might all be Pacific, mightn't they? The videos that we looked at today. And I mean, this is pure speculation on my part, but I just wonder if, are there aliens under the water?
Well, maybe not. Maybe not aliens. Maybe they do have terrestrial origin, but maybe these are from the lost city of Atlantis.
Oh my gosh!
What you don't see is them emerging from the water, though, which is a little bit.
That is true.
We haven't seen that yet,
No,
have we?
we haven't.
At least not yet.
That is true.
Yeah.
But maybe they wait. They're hovering underneath the water surface.
Periscope.
Little periscope looking around. Yeah. Well, that would be a curveball, wouldn't it? If on June the 1st, the officer who gives the report to Senate just says, "We can confirm these are not extraterrestrial. It's Atlantis, baby."
Yeah. P.S. The Earth is hollow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And by the way, Godzilla exists and is heading for San Francisco right now. But we'll do that.
Have you seen the film Deep Impact?
Oh no.
But yeah, I mean, this one's crazy because this is not only very recent, recently declassified, or rather recently confirmed after being recently leaked, but from 2019. And in my mind, this is not accurate, really. Of course, the world continued in 2020, but in my mind, 2019 is like the last thing that happened. 2020 was just a big pause button. 2019 is like the last thing that happened. So I find this is absolutely compelling. It means that these UAPs are still being observed right up till now, and the government report might even be behind by the time it's delivered. At the beginning of June, it might be behind on what's going on.
I still think it's crazy that the Pentagon came out with this and was like, these are UFO sightings. I still can't believe that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's mad.
They were careful to rebrand them almost, weren't they? Like,
it's aliens!
Yeah.
But like unidentified flying objects, these aren't even necessarily flying in the air. These are just videos that have aerial phenomenon in them. So like they're not this. I mean, it doesn't really rule out anything. It doesn't necessarily say that these are objects at all. They could be something on the lens, or
that's true, yeah.
Or bokeh, I think, is a criticism that some of these could be. I don't think that could answer all of these at all.
No, you're right. They've carefully created that phrase, that terminology, to leave it so vague and open to interpretation that they could explain it away as anything they wanted. Which is, I mean, on the one hand, that's quite useful. That's a useful thing to do because you're not trapped by having to reclassify things from a flying object to something else. But it also opens up the avenue for them to say, "Oh, it's just a kid with a really powerful Nerf gun."
Going like 500 miles an hour in the open ocean.
I mean, there was actually, I forgot to mention on 60 Minutes, they interviewed a fellow called Lou Elizondo, who I think, Alex, you mentioned in a video on our former channel that shall not be named. He worked for the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, which was founded in 2007 and had a $22 million budget and was shut down in 2012, presumably after the money ran out, and which was a mixture of scientists, engineers, and intelligence experts who worked usually part-time together on this research project to identify what have now been reclassified as UAPs. And this fella, Lou Elizondo, worked for this program, hired by the DoD, and he described what they were investigating at the time as technology that can do 600 to 700 G-forces, that can fly at 13,000 miles an hour, that can evade radar, and that can fly through air and water and possibly space, has no obvious signs of propulsion, no wings, no control surfaces, and yet still can defy the natural effects of Earth's gravity. And if you play that description along with the videos that we've just watched, that's literally it.
That's the thing. It all goes back to motive, doesn't it? What's the motive for this? What military application, apart from getting things to and from places incredibly quickly. I mean, a military drone, do you need it to be able to fly 13,000 miles per hour? There's no application for it. There's no benefit.
Well, particularly at such low levels. These are all low-level flights. I mean, the last two videos are, well, one of them goes into the ocean. The other one is just above the ocean surface. The other is above the clouds, admittedly. But then if it's a spy plane, the cloud cover is not going to do much good for its spying.
Still low. Yeah.
And we know the U-2 spy planes during the Cold War deliberately flew right on the edge of space because they couldn't be detected that far up. So why would you fly at cloud level when you can be detected and indeed caught on camera by patrolling fighter jets? It's just weird. If it's a foreign nation, it's weird.
That's the thing. The answers all still aren't there, and that's why this announcement is going to be so interesting.
Yeah.
To see how much they divulge.
For sure.
But
for
I don't think they're going to say, yes, this is what we've been working on. Here you go, 13,000 miles per hour. Spy plane, 1,000 G-force. Yeah. What do you guys think will be announced in this?
I don't want to be boring, but I think you're right, Martin. I think they're going to kind of parrot what Obama said. That I don't think they'll say nothing. I don't think they'll just say like I don't know. I think they'll give some information.
Yeah.
But I think it will be very much, this is something, we don't know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll even go as far as to suggest whether it's I don't think they'll say we don't believe it's terrestrial. I think they'll very much hint that it is terrestrial in origin.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think they'll even mention that at all.
Yeah, I think
it'd be a surprise.
I think you're both right. I think we'll get some statistics. You know, they'll trot out some facts like we've had this many sightings and we've got this many hours of footage and we've got this many people have seen it who work for the US government, and that will be part of a kind of smoke screen to make us think that we've heard something substantial when actually they ended by echoing Obama's comments, which is there is something out there and we're concerned, but we don't know what it is. And they probably will end on a note that we need to remain vigilant and alert for foreign powers' threats to our national security and stuff like that. I'd be very surprised if they say, yep, it's aliens. But I have to say, I'm not sure if it's just that our technology has reached the point where in the information age, it's so hard for governments to deny this kind of thing that inevitably we're going to come across a UFO, or whether this is separate from everything that's come before and all the classic tales of UFO sightings and all the classic suspicions and theories and paranoias and Bob Lazars of the world are still wrong, are still, imagining things or making it up. And this just happens to be a new phase of technology that governments have developed that tallies comfortably with what we thought were aliens. Does that make sense?
I don't
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's part of a continuous history or if these are two separate things.
Yeah. Or maybe it's like, truth mimics fiction kind of thing. All these UFO stories have kind of led governments to make these UFOs in the first place. Like there was a government that was working on that. There is like a UFO type car that was lifted off by big fans. I can't remember what it was called. It was like the Avro car or something.
Wow.
I can't remember. But it looks like Avro car. I think it was the Canadian government developed it, but it looks like a UFO. But it only flew just off the ground. But that was in 1950s. So, and you look at like the kind of the spy planes that they have in the 70s, 80s, and what they have now, and you just think, what do they have that if they had that in the 70s, what do they have now?
Yeah, military technology is always a few steps ahead of everyday technology that we have.
They're never going to tell you exactly what they're working on, are they? That they're testing. The interesting thing is that the US military doesn't seem to have a heads up or any kind of knowledge.
Yeah.
Or the US Navy in some of these cases of what these things are.
Yeah.
You think there'd be maybe some kind of communication. That's where the mystery really derives. The president isn't sure. The ex-presidents aren't sure.
Yeah.
The military aren't sure. Then what is this?
Yeah.
And I think that's the exciting bit.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, for the nation with the biggest military budget in the world, that has always led the way in military technology, suddenly is the one that doesn't know what they're seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's done something very clever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But please let us know what you think. If you're watching us on YouTube, please tell us in the comments below. If you're listening to us, then please contact us on Twitter. We've already discussed our Twitter handles in this video, but just in case you're wondering, it's at JInterestingYT. And shall we move on to a quiz?
Yes, let's.
It's time for a quiz! 10 questions, as always. But to answer a question, you need to buzz in. So select your buzzers, and gentlemen, show me your buzzers, or play them to me so I can hear them. That's more important. Alex, what's your buzzer?
I have gone for my classic. We're in the end game now. No messing about. I need Orson to see me through.
The French champagne has always been celebrated for its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul.
I always end it a bit sooner, so I thought I'd give you more of a snippet there.
I just love that kind of like champagne. So good.
Champagne.
Trying to think of what he's saying. He's clearly out of breath, isn't he? He's so drunk he's out of breath speaking.
It's the like action, and then it's like, oh.
The moment where it kicks in.
He was a rather large fellow, so I imagine his breathlessness is not just to do with the drunkenness. But
True,
Martin, what's your buzzer?
I've gone for an old viral video that some people might know, some people might not.
Okay.
But it's of the grape lady falling over, a woman who's standing on grapes and she slips off the table and makes a very, in-pained noise.
Oh my god.
Oh dear. I think she's actually hurt. No, I think she is.
Now, the ending, of course, her being hurt it is funny, but it's not. She's okay. This studio, I think she's hurt.
I think she's actually hurt there.
I think she is.
Wow. Well,
This quiz is just unique in that that buzzer on any other quiz show would not fly.
it would
15 seconds long.
All right then. Well, fingers on buzzers, because our first question is a 50-50 true or false.
Okay.
Now we've been discussing Orson Welles, and this is the theme of the question: true or false? Orson Welles once ate 18 hot dogs in a row at Pink's hot dog stand in LA. I think I heard Martin first.
Yeah,
That's too specific to be false. That's true.
Alex?
The French.
Well, I'm going to go false.
It is false. I'm afraid so.
You just made that up completely.
No, I didn't. The hot dog stand claim it is true, but it is not.
What?
It is not
Slander.
not provably true. One of the pieces of evidence used against it is the fact that one of his best friends says Orson was not the kind of man who'd eat a hot dog. And
He'd eat 18. Maybe one hot dog.
he would eat much classier
Okay, fair
food than that. So
If it's not Paul Masson, he's not interested.
After that advert, he would definitely be smashing about the hot dogs. That classy stuff around the window.
just give me a hot dog. Okay.
Is he eating a thing?
So 1-0 to Alex. Going into question 2. What is the top score you can get in 10-pin bowling?
Vineyard tours, seminars.
I think again that was Martin.
Yeah, it was.
The answer to that is 300.
Spot on. 1-1. Going into question 3. Now this is an interesting
Martin's on it with the buzzer this week.
one.
I
Yes,
know,
yes,
this
yes.
lady
I'm
was
scared.
great.
I'm scared.
This poor lady. It was about 15 years ago, let's be fair. I think
She's either fine or
okay.
dead now. One of the two. We don't...
Yeah.
Okay. Question number 3. What is the best-selling Scotch malt whiskey?
The
Ooh,
French
Alex.
champagne.
I'm going to go Glenfiddich.
And you would be correct. It is Glenfiddich.
Thank you.
The
Thank
power
you.
of advertising.
I'm really
I guess.
glad I got that one right.
Yeah. I mean, Glenfiddich was my introduction to whiskey, so yeah, it works.
Yeah, I mean, it's popular and it's pretty nice.
Yeah. I've got the full list of 10 here if you want to go through it at some point, but maybe we should move on to question 4. Okay, question number 4, and it's 2-1 to Alex. Where is the 2023 Rugby World Cup being held?
You son of a bitch, Robin. You son of a bitch.
Yes, Martin?
That would be France.
It would be France. Well done.
I would never have guessed France.
Are you sure? I'm sure you could have eventually.
That would be like 50th on my list of places to guess.
So 2-2 going into question 5. This is a much tighter quiz than I was expecting. So 4-4. And I do like it tight. So question number 5. This is a thinking question. How many transcontinental cities? That's a city that is on 2 continents.
Mm-hmm.
How many transcontinental cities are both in Europe and Asia? Entirely sure who that was. I'm going to throw it to Alex first, I think.
Okay.
I'm just going to go with 1.
Okay. Martin?
Well, I know of one, but I don't think it's going to be. There's one that's very, very obvious, of course. Of course.
Yeah.
It's mentioned heavily as being the border between
True.
Asia and Europe. But is there another one? Are we looking... Oh, I can't just go for 1. No, let's go 4.
Is this the closest win?
No,
Or are
it's
we
not the
doing-
closest win. So
Okay.
3.
you are both wrong. I'll give you one more
Okay.
guess each. I will say so that you're not wildly off. You're kind of... You've kept it low, and that's wise. Yeah. Yes, Alex.
Split the difference because I'll be annoyed if it's this. Is it 2?
Well, Martin has a guess for it as well.
Is it 5?
I'm afraid it is 4. So,
I was going to go for 4, and I was like, just have one on. Damn,
well
I just gone
done,
to...
well.
Okay,
yeah,
4.
the obvious
What
one
are
is
Istanbul.
Istanbul.
not Constantinople. That's in Turkey. And there's Atirau, I think I'm saying that probably wrongly, in Kazakhstan.
Yeah, I was going to go. There's going to be some in the border.
They're all in the same place, actually. Well, not same place, sorry. along the same line. Orenburg and Magnitogorsk in Russia. And the one in Kazakhstan and the 2 in Russia are all along the Ural River, which obviously separates
okay.
the European and Asian continents. So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
not know
That's
that.
a good. That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I won't remember any of those names.
No, I
but-
wouldn't either. But you can trot out the number 4 in a
4,
party
yes.
next time trying to impress somebody. Okay. Question number 6, and it's still 2-2. This is a closest wins.
Okay.
When did the Great Famine, or the Potato Famine, start in Ireland?
Oh,
What year?
Oh.
What year did it start?
no, this is bad.
Closest wins.
I'm not very familiar with this one.
You can go first then.
It's going to be like insultingly bad, my guess. This is just one of those like blank spots on my history card,
Yeah.
which I feel bad to say. Do you want to have a guess, Martin?
I want to know. I'm intrigued to know what you think first, because I don't know, but I've got. Would it be earlier than I think it is? Would it be earlier than I think it is? What are you thinking? You don't have to give a different.
Well, I was thinking this could be so wrong. I don't know. I was thinking it's the 19th century.
Any advances on a year?
I was thinking late myself. I was thinking late 19th century. I was thinking possibly
Okay, good. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
1884.
French
Oh, he buzzed.
champagne.
Yeah. Because keep the rules official. I'll go a little earlier. I'll go 1865.
Alex is closer. It was 1845 to 1852.
Blimey.
Displaced or
Okay,
killed
blimey.
a quarter of Ireland's population. Mass.
Wow. No, I feel bad that I didn't know that, but I'm glad that
No, you
I was
both
at
got the
least in
19th
right
century. I think, okay, so that is 3-2 to Alex. Going into question
3-2.
7. So,
Okay.
Martin, you can still do this. So,
Yeah, there's time.
Can't do it, Martin. Give up now.
which song by the band Deep Blue Something shares its name with a story written by Truman Capote and its film adaptation starring Audrey Hepburn.
Wait, what? Can you repeat the question? Sorry, that was just...
What is the name? I've given you loads of clues in the question. So
I missed the crux of the question.
The name of the song by the band Deep Blue Something.
Oh. Crap, my buzzer's gone.
Yeah, Martin?
Is it Breakfast at Tiffany's?
It is Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh, okay.
It's what about that one?
That's right.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
So that because where we used to work, that was on the radio all the time. Well, one of the songs that was on the radio all the time, I feel.
Yeah. And for those of you who remember him, Chris would often replace the lyrics with something a bit more rude.
Oh, yeah.
We should ask him. Maybe we should ask him to be a guest again on the podcast. That'd be nice to have him back on.
That'd be great.
It'd be fun.
Okay. So that is 3-3. Going to question 8.
Ooh.
A beer question. So,
Sabotage.
No,
This is.
it's not.
Because they can be quite generic, aren't they?
It can be. It's definitely something that you know the answer to, Alex. I guarantee it. The beer.
Which sub-bracket of cold?
No. The beer called Alpha Fornication by the Flying Monkeys Craft Brewery ranked first in which category of beer measurement?
The French
Yes,
champagne.
Alex.
Was it the bitterness?
It's going to be, isn't it, from last week?
Do you remember what that was?
Bitterness ranking. It was the ABV.
No, that's alcohol percentage.
Yeah.
Come on. God.
Was it the beer? I was going to say the beer with the highest IBUs.
Is the beer with the highest IBUs?
Although Alex,
Alex
you
was
did
there,
get it
so I'll
right.
give
It's the
you
most
both a
bitter
half
beer.
point, I think,
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
since you were there. But
Because the IBUs does measure bitterness, so you did get
You
it
did.
right.
And since that's based on a question that Martin asked last week.
exactly. So I knew
I mean,
you'd get
actually,
it.
it shouldn't matter.
No.
We all got the information in the end. But
No, it was bitterness, and it had. Martin, correct me if I'm wrong, but the taste threshold for the human tongue is apparently 100 IBU.
Tends to be, that's a rough estimate, yeah.
And Alpha Fornication had an IBU of 2,500,
Oh,
which
goodness,
sounds
that's
like it was
gonna be
probably the most
horrendous.
disgusting thing you could ever drink.
It'd be literally just like eating, I don't know.
Eating salt
Drinking a lemon.
with extra
peel.
salt.
No, but way more than that. Yeah.
Okay,
sounds
so that's
delicious.
Well, actually, let's give you a whole point each rather than half point each. Let's not bother with half points. So we're on 4-all. Yep. Going into
Ooh.
question 9. This is tense. Which planet in our solar system has the most moons? Ooh, that was Martin.
Martin is straight in there. You better get it right though, because
Well,
I'm going to be
I
on
don't-
it. I'm going to be on
I
it.
don't actually know, but I'm going to go for Venus.
It's not Venus.
Damn.
Okay, I was
Interesting
hoping you'd
choice.
go
That's. I'm going to just say that Venus has no moons. That's
Does
the
it?
one planet that has no moons. Yeah. Yes.
Well, that was shit, wasn't it? That was a bad answer.
I'm going to go with Saturn.
And you would be right. It is.
No,
Saturn.
that was my first. I changed from
Oh
Saturn
no!
to
Did you?
Venus.
Did you? You
Yeah.
didn't fall into the trap of going for Jupiter.
Yeah.
To be fair-
I was
to be fair,
this
though-
close to going
Yeah.
for Jupiter.
With my planetary knowledge being extremely limited, as you can tell, it would have just been a guess. So
It would have been a correct guess though, and that's allowed.
it would have been a correct guess, and that's what counts. But
Certain people on this panel have won
Venus.
quizzes with educated guesses many times in the past, haven't they?
oh yeah,
What swung it for me was like all the rings around Saturn. You think there's been a
That's
lot of
what- yeah.
a lot of
Looking-
collisions around
Yeah.
there.
looking
a good
back,
point.
it's not a good answer, is it?
I mean, it's a close run thing. I think Saturn currently has 82 moons and Jupiter has 79, so it's pretty close.
And is it going to move? Going to change? Going to catch up anytime soon? Or
Well, yeah, it might do. Because
When are we going to win? We're going to go to 80,
Earth is going to get there.
81 more.
We're adding our own satellites. Can we call them moons? Each one. Okay, so
Thousands.
that means it is 5-4, I believe, to Alex
Shit.
going into question 10, the final clincher. And it's the closest wins. So,
oh no,
Do you want to go first, Martin?
I went first last time.
Yeah, you did. Okay.
so we all know that the rabbit population of Australia peaked at 10 billion in 1920. But how many rabbits are in Australia today? Closest wins.
Oh, what? I even asked this question.
You did.
10. Wait. Oh, yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was waiting for that to come back round, but it never did.
But now it did.
10
Wow.
billion in 1920,
Yeah.
did you say? 1990.
1920. Yeah.
20.
That was the peak.
Hmm.
So what is it today?
That was the peak.
Oh, French.
Oh, he's going for it.
Spain. There's always been-
I reckon I'll explain my reasoning afterwards, maybe.
Okay.
I'll go 1 billion.
Okay.
See, I was thinking something similar because I reckon they've done a bloody good job of reducing the numbers of rabbits. How many rabbits will that be per person?
What's the population of Australia? It's not that big, is it? It's
Was it like 15
Something like
million?
that, isn't it?
Is
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
right?
16, 17 million
Yeah.
last time I checked.
Hmm.
Which is every day
16,
I check that.
I think you'll find it's
just-
17.64.
I just go around and count.
dear.
Sugar. Do I go less? Do I go even less? Do I go, they've done a crazy job and I was only 500,000? And the fact that they've reduced it would be a talking point. It would make it worth having in this quiz. It to be so drastic. 90% is a good number to pick, I think. They've reduced the population by 90%. Do I go higher or lower?
Well, I think, just to add extra stakes to this, does this determine whether I've won this season? This
It
question?
might do, actually. Yeah.
It might. I
Quite-
don't
we need to
know.
work it out, but maybe. Although Robin, I guess, would do the next two. He would be in the next two quizzes, wouldn't he? So I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm going to go
that's
for
true, actually.
1 billion. Shit.
I'm sorry, Martin. I'm
gonna-
really stressing you out. I didn't mean to.
I'm gonna have to go for more. I think
Yeah.
probably 1.1.
Oh.
Billion.
Well, it is the closest wins, and the actual number of rabbits in Australia today is estimated to be 200 million. So Alex edged it.
Wow.
She edged it by 100 million.
Yes! Logic! Well, oh my gosh. I'd like to thank my family, and I'd like to thank my friends. I'd like to thank anyone who supports me in these quizzes. Yeah, Doom. Shout out to Doom from the comments earlier.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why did I go for more? I should have gone for less.
You were going to go for less as well.
You were.
I was thinking about it.
What's impressive is that
'Cause, yeah, 'cause
when you started,
That's incredibly impressive, isn't it? Was that 99% or whatever? Isn't it?
huge. Yeah, when you started
Something huge.
explaining your thought processes, I was like, actually, yeah, it's perfectly reasonable to stick at 1 billion and not go lower, because that's a tremendous achievement. So they must have gone really hard into the cull.
Well, and plus rabbits are notoriously,
Yes.
promiscuous.
Yep.
But I was thinking with Australia, the changes, like, I reckon they probably have some predators now doing some of the legwork.
That's true.
Forest fires, destruction of
I
habitats.
think every Australian is licensed to kill a rabbit on site. So in terms of the league table, that puts Alex at a very compelling 70%, 7 out of 10 wins.
Wow.
I don't think it's not really surmountable,
That's
is
very
it?
good. No,
Wow.
I think that, I mean, we'll work out the maths, but there might have to be a trophy presentation.
Very soon. I
In
think,
the,
depending on
next
how next
episode,
week's
yeah.
quiz goes, I think Alex
Yeah.
has it in the bag.
Well,
we go.
we'll see who gets second place, and we'll.
I think that's probably in the bag too.
I don't know yet. Robin, you're on 5 quiz wins.
I'm
I've
on,
had a poor
I'm on
season.
5 out of 10. So
Well, if I'm on 7, then I think you can still bring it back. To be honest,
but
you
I
can
have,
still.
I have to
level.
beat you
Mm.
and beat Martin in the next 2 quizzes, which is a tall order.
Yeah, but it's doable, and then we'll have like some kind of final bonus round or something.
I
Which
guess.
it's not in the bag yet. I don't think it's in the bag yet.
We'll see how next week goes, but I think it might be.
I'm rooting for you next week, Martin.
Oh, well, thank you.
10 rugby questions was a great idea.
Okay. Well, do you want to do a bonus question?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
In the tradition of bonus questions, it's the closest wins. And at the time of recording this, we've just had Eurovision. And
We have.
Eurovision did give us ABBA back in the 70s. And for that, I shall be forever grateful. So, today's
You've said so much I disagree with in the last like 20 seconds.
Oh, we knew each other so little. Today's closest wins question is, what is the combined age of the 4 members of ABBA? Closest wins.
What, today?
As of today, yeah. What do you mean? as of 10
Okay.
years ago? What kind of question would that be?
That would be a crazy question.
Like-
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how old they would be. I haven't.
Right, let's go for.
Bearing in mind, they started in the early 70s, I think.
Whole day. Stop.
Yes. Ow. I can't breathe.
That would be 275.
Okay.
I think that's respectable.
French champagne.
I will go for 269.
Hey, nice. Martin is closer. It's 295.
Ah,
Wow.
combined
I
age,
didn't
yeah.
think that old.
Wow.
They're all in their
Yeah.
70s. 74, 75, 71, and 75. Well then, Alex, on the quiz, thank you, gentlemen, for joining
Thank
for that
you.
quiz. And thank you for your insights on the UFOs and your anticipations of what's going to come next. We'll probably do an update
Yeah.
on it after we've heard the news from the Senate report.
Imagine we will.
Yeah. If there's any news to share. So yeah, please tell us your thoughts in below. Let us know your quiz scores. Be honest now in the comments. And if you're listening to us, please get in touch on Twitter. And don't forget to check us out on Twitch. Follow us to get alerts for every time we go live immediately. And thank you again. Always big thank you to our Patreon supporters and YouTube members who keep the channel going.
Yeah.
We love you all.
Thanks so much, everyone.
Yeah,
Thank you. Thank you so much. And bye for now.
Bye bye.
See you later. Bye bye.